Alright, so I feel I'm probably a bit late to the party on this one. And I was going to do all the flashy editing and try and make it look really crisp. But then I thought, all I'm doing is looking at a post on Reddit. So I thought, let's keep it raw, let's keep it real. So if it's your first time watching the channel, obviously check some of the other videos out. You'll see they're not all like this. I just wanted to get this information out. It's just for anyone who doesn't look on Reddit, or maybe don't follow that many YouTube sort of TBC creators. So just want to get the info out and give you my 2 cents on the topic that's on screen now next to me, so you can feel free to just quickly read through it and leave. I wouldn't advise that. That seems a bit pointless. You might as well stay and see what I've got to say about it. But if it's your first time here, make sure you like, subscribe. Come check me out over on Twitch, Scottejaye87, streaming pretty much every night. I'm doing a little bit of white main, so there's a bit of RAF servers going on at the moment, but the majority of the time it's TBC, and actually during the day I do a few hours each morning where I'm just playing random games. So if you just want to come in and just see what I'm playing, I think tomorrow morning I'm going to have a crack on Tony Hawk's for a couple of hours, just to break up the WoW gameplay, because I don't want to burn out before Classic TBC comes out. So look, this is another alleged leak to do with Classic TBC. So there's been someone claiming to work at Blizzard leaking the odd piece of information. This is not my post. This is just a post that someone linked me on Discord and asked me what my thoughts are about it. So I thought, well, I'll just stick a video out and we'll talk about it, and then you can tell me what you think in the comments. So make sure you do. If there's anything you like here, let me know in the comments. If there's anything I say that you don't like, let me know in the comments. Fairly straightforward. So look, We'll just get straight into it. I was going to do some more plugging of other content, but I won't bother. Let's just get into it. So, content release schedule. Tier 4 and 5 content at launch on the 4th of May. May the 4th be with you. I'm a big Star Wars fan, so that'd be great if TBC launched on that day anyway. But, May the 4th, you know what I mean? We're knocking well into February now. So, March, April. We've not had a release yet. We're expecting that at BlizzCon Line on the 19th of February. It seems a bit quick for me on the basis we've not even got a release yet, a release date announced. Not even a release date, forget a release date. We've not even had an announcement that it's officially coming. So May the 4th is starting to look less and less likely for me personally. This may be true. I sincerely hope it is, because I could probably hold out till May and not get bored by May. But it seems a bit quick. In between that, we're going to have probably a closed beta, an open beta, raid testing, bug fixes, all of that, pre-patch. We're expecting a pre-patch, or I'm expecting a pre-patch, so we're going to need PTR testing for the pre-patch. I do believe recently that they done the leeway fix or leeway change. Not leeway, spell batching, you know what I mean, but they both go hand in hand really, so why leeway wasn't sort of addressed at the same time is still beyond me. But spell batching. So, that for me is in preparation for Arena. I said that in a video recently, exactly the same thing. So I think the spell batch millisecond sort of reduction, massive reduction, is all ready for Arena. All right. So, but still, I don't think there's enough time between now and the 4th of May to do a PTR for the pre-patch and solid beta testing. We want this game to be polished. We want it to be no bugs. We want it to be really, really polished. There's no other word for it. Between now and May the 4th, can that happen? I'd probably say no. So I'd probably add another 4 weeks on that personally. Black Temple and Mount Hyjal for November 2021. So we're talking May, June, July, August, September, October. 5 months of Tier 4 and Tier 5. Now, Tier 4 will be cleared in the first... I'm not going to say the first reset, but the first 7 to 10 days of people being 70. And that's being generous. I personally think it will be cleared. I certainly think Grawl and Magferrodon and Karazhan. The only reason I'm saying these specifically and removing Nightbane is because of, gated by reputations and stuff like that to be able to summon Nightbane. But people... If you haven't seen my How to Kill Nightbane basically in your first raiding reset, check that video out. It's quite easy to actually do. So I would say the first week of, the guilds hitting 70, you're going to have Tier 4 clear. Tier 5 ain't going to take that much longer. A week. Let's say, even it generously, let's say a week for each SSC and TK. So a week for TK, a week for SSC. Trust me, that's generous. It will be clear quicker than that. So now we're talking 2 weeks after 70. Everything's cleared. And this is just me guessing, don't get me wrong. but I think it's quite an educated guess based on experience from higher tuned raids than what we're probably going to expect in Classic. So a couple of weeks from launch, all content's cleared for nearly 5 months. I don't know about that. That's such a massive gap. Unless they want people to drop off and start playing retail, that could be a thing, because you're not going to keep people doing tier 4 and 5 for 5 months. I don't think, anyway. You'll keep the casuals. The casuals will be playing, but the super hardcore sweaty guilds, they're going to smash through this content. After, let's say, 3 months, they're going to start getting bored. Definitely start getting bored. ZA February. Now that, again, when we look at this gap, it's disgusting. So ZA February, so you're going to have tier 6 open in November, so then you're going to have November, December, January, or let's rule out November because it could be the end of November, so then you're going to have December, January, a couple of months, and then you're going to get a filler raid, because ZA isn't exactly progression, it's a catch-up raid at the end of the day. You know, it's only a 10-man, so it's neither in or there. So if we was to rule ZA out and say, alright, it comes in February, that's great, it's still not really going to matter. So the time scale between tier 6 and Sunwell Plateau is November, it comes out, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. 9 months of tier 6. That's too long. Again, that's far too long on the basis that if we was to talk about that server in China when they got the release a lot later, you know, they was clearing Mount Hyjal and everything. They was clearing tier 6, still wearing tier 3 from vanilla, because they had pretty much everything release at once, because they were so far behind when the initial release came that all the patches already came when it released in China. So they smashed through the content in something like 30 days. So if they can smash through all that in 30 days, how do we expect it to last all that amount of time and still keep people engaged? I think they need to move, if this is a true leak, they need to move this release schedule up quite quickly. Put the May release date, because I think that's too soon. Put that back a couple of months, and then close the gaps between the tiers releasing, because otherwise I just think it's gonna get consumed so fast that people are gonna get bored and start dropping off. And don't get me wrong, if you're sort of a 1 day a week sort of casual group of friends raiding, it might last, but it's probably not gonna. Let's face it, if you was doing, so let's look at this as tier 4 and 5. So let's say that was Molten Core, first tier in vanilla, Molten Core. Now, can you imagine doing that for 5 months with very little else to do other than your heroic farming and stuff like that? Which, you know, again, you're gonna get through all that quite quick. But 5 months of Molten Core. Now, I could look this up, but this is a very free-flowing video. You know, I'm not sat here researching. I've not put massive amounts of effort into this whatsoever. I've not looked up exact timescales of vanilla and stuff to compare this. But for me, 5 months of Molten Core, that's quite a long time. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I think the release schedule just seems a little bit too spaced for me, personally. Because Sunwell Plateau, that's probably the one where you're going to want a decent amount of time. You know, you might want 3 months in there, realistically. So now that's taking us into 2023. So that's nearly 2 years of TBC. Bit too long for my likings, but again, let me know in the comments what you think. So server informations, all servers will be transitioned to TBC on May the 4th. Not sure what that does for the people who want to stay 60. Are they going to have an opportunity to move their character to a level 60 only realm? You know, if they want to carry on doing Nax with their guild, I don't know. But all servers being transitioned to TBC makes sense to me anyway. But let's go a little bit further down, because I'm sure some of it, my questions or points that I throw out might be sort of answered in the following bits, because this is the first time I'm looking through this as well. So all servers will get a pre-patch April the 20th, which will unlock Draenei and Blood Elves and allow Shaman Paladins to be leveled by the opposing factions prior to the TBC server transition on May the 4th. Not a fan. You know, I've said right from the beginning, I understand the releasing Draenei and Blood Elf early to allow people to get their characters to 60 ready so they're not left behind, but at the same time I quite like the idea of them having to do that when the Dark Portal opens, alleviate that minor little bit of traffic, or maybe reducing the servers by one layer or whatever, by 2 whole sort of classes near enough. Because a lot of paladins are going to be a blood elf, a lot of shamans are going to be Draenei, It's still going to alleviate some traffic in Outland. So not too sure about that personally. And I'm not sure if it's even something that Blizzard would do, because that's not really true to how it was before. If you want to go a blood elf paladin, or you want to go a Draenei shaman, or a Draenei warrior, or a blood elf hunter, or whatever, if you just want to be that new faction, then the trade-off for that is you are going to be starting Outland a little bit later than everybody else. I personally see nothing wrong with that. That's the trade-off. You get to play that shiny new faction, that sexy new female blood elf spinning around in the air, shaking her up, all of that. Then you start level 1. I personally think that's a quite a fair trade-off. And then fresh vanilla servers. They're going to launch on April the 20th, same time as the pre-patch. So now you've got a choice to make. This is the only thing, again, with the timeline that I'm a bit sceptical on, or that maybe I don't approve of, or don't, I wouldn't do it that way. Because you're basically saying you either play TBC or you play vanilla fresh. What if you want to do both? You're not going to want to miss the pre-patch, are you, in TBC? But if there was a bit of a gap between the two, you would maybe do the pre-patch, do the event, get yourself ready, and then maybe the fresh servers launch, you do a bit of that. I don't know, or, TBC opens, and then they open the fresh vanilla servers 2 weeks afterwards. So you can try and get yourself into a position to start raid logging, and then start on a fresh vanilla server as well, playing both in tandem. Because, for people who have got a lot of time, you could quite comfortably play TBC and vanilla side by side. You'd have to make sure you're in guilds that raid at different times or days or whatever, but I think it'd be possible, quite easy or plausible to do. So releasing fresh vanilla servers and the pre-patch on the same day, don't know, seems like a stupid move, because you really are dividing the audience then. But who knows, just my 2 cents, not what I would do. No plans for fresh TBC servers. Now this is like stabbing me in the heart with a big sword, because obviously I want fresh. Even though I've put loads of preparation in, I'm ready to go. I'm ready for it to carry on from Classic into a TBC launch. But I would rather ditch all that preparation and go fresh still. And I know some of you hate on me for saying about fresh servers. You're like, no, comes with its own problems, all that. I agree. But just out of fresh or continuous or progressive, whatever you want to call it, I would still opt for fresh. So if this was true and there's no fresh TBC servers, not only am I going to be annoyed, but all the people, and there's a lot of people that play private servers, as we know, the boost in population, boost in subscribers, when Classic launched, was all of these big private server guilds that flocked to Classic. So all of these big private server guilds in TBC private servers, they would also flock to Classic if there was fresh servers. Odds of them doing it, if it's progressive, less of them will. I'm sure lots of them still will. I know, Dr. Cow, you've seen him on the channel. He wants fresh, but if it's not fresh, he will go progressive because he still wants to play, a classic TBC launch. But there'll be others that will be like, no, I'm not doing it. Not if it's not fresh. So I think cater to the audience a little bit. If you're willing to launch fresh vanilla servers, then be willing to launch fresh TBC servers. I don't understand what the harm is there. But, again, just my opinion. Classic Forever Realms will be released around launch. You can pay to copy your character to these realms. Pay? You can pay to copy your characters to these realms. No, mate. Right, so you can pay. I don't get that. You've put all the work into your character, and now you have to pay to keep it that way. Like, that's ridiculous, and no, that will not happen, or definitely should not happen. If you work for Blizzard and this is true and you're watching this, mark my words, that is ridiculous. Why on earth should you have to pay to keep your character the way it is, when you might not want TBC? So basically you're saying you'll force TBC on people that don't want it, and then make them pay to keep their character on a 60 only realm. No, that needs to be free, obviously. You need to be able to move your character for free. And again, in the comments, let me know. How do you feel about that? You guys who are not bothered about TBC, if you're not bothered about TBC, not quite sure why you're watching me ramble on about TBC. But if you're not bothered about it and you want to stay at 60, you want to carry on doing NACs, maybe some AQ, you like doing BGs at 60, and how do you feel about having to pay to be able to do that? You already pay your subscription. Then you got to pay to move your character. I don't know. I'm not a fan of that. So tokens and 60 boosts will be added at some point during TBC's lifetime. Don't do that. Don't do that. There's only 70 levels. Do you really need to boost to 60? Pay for a boost to 60 when there's only 70 levels? And yeah, alright, it takes a little while, but you're removing... The leveling is such a massive portion of the game, which... some of us don't like, I don't like, but I do it. No, we shouldn't have boosts. And the token, I'm neither in or there on that. I'm very much on the fence. I understand why, if they did bring it in, I'd understand why they did, and being able to, not legally, but without breaking TOS, basically buy gold. I also see the sort of, not pleasure in that, but you know what I mean, as in, like, I would do it if WoW tokens were there. Even if I was anti-WoW token, would I still buy them? Of course I would, because I haven't got time to farm as much as I would probably like to, but I'm quite happy to spend money. So I wouldn't condone the addition of a WoW token, but if it was there, I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't use it. So I can't really comment on that. Then some additional tidbits. 2.4.3 patch. Yeah, obviously. It's going to be the easiest way to go. Even though again, it's another one I'm on the fence with. I want 2.4.3 as a feral DPS because they're better. But I'd like 2.0 and go progressively through the patches and the itemization. So post 2.0 itemization is sort of more of a catch-up mechanic. Because we all know 2.0 itemization in Karazhan is pretty dire. Yeah, most of the gear is useless. But... it sort of it works as a catch-up mechanic naturally, if you know what I mean. Throughout the expansion, when the gear in Karazhan gets buffed, you then need the gear because you've probably skipped out on doing Gruul and Magferrodon farming to get your tier. It sort of does work as a catch-up mechanic, in my opinion. Anyway, shoot me down, feel free. Old revered attunements. Don't know what that means. I mean, I'm guessing that means the heroic keys. So yeah, they'll be at revered. Of course they would be. You're not going to put it at honoured. That would be stupid. Pre or post boss nerf unknown. I mean, I'm hoping for pre-nerf, obviously. But when you think pre-nerf and you're these big private server players, there's certain nerfs that were fixed so quick, but they were actually put in as pre-nerf on private servers. So when I say fixed quick... an example would be Nightbane, with the ads only taking holy and physical damage. Apparently, and I can't remember this far back. I could look it up, but as I say, this is not really a me sitting and researching. This is just having a little chat. That didn't last very long on private servers, but it's considered pre-nerf on private servers, even though it probably wouldn't be classed as pre-nerf in a TBC Classic, because it was more of a hotfix than a nerf, because it didn't last long enough. It weren't like it was there for a full reset. From what I understand, it was a matter of hours before that was changed. So, yes, we want pre-nerf bosses, is what I'm saying. Before damage was nerfed, before health was nerfed, before mechanics was nerfed. That would be nice. But we don't want to confuse, what was nerfs and what was fixes, because probably a bit of a grey area. Now, AoE nerf for mages will be present. Well, AoE nerf should be present from the pre-patch for everyone. Not paladins, not ground AoE. So Flame Strike, for example, as a mage, that will still not have an AoE cap, nor will Consecrate. That's not how it used to work back then, so there's no reason that's how it should work now. As in, yeah, they're not affected by the AoE cap. But Blizzard, things like that, obviously, yeah, we know they are. Arcane Explosion, yeah, blah, 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 blah. All the typical AoE. No word on racial balancing, so most likely not. We know they're not going to do anything there. Forget about it. They're not going to add racial incentives to go one way or the other. That is a very private server mentality. I have a feeling I should probably shout out to the guy who done this post, but I can't see it on my screen at the moment. But sounds like a private server player to me, and obviously I am as well, so whatever, you know, I'm not having a dig. No server population adjustments. Blizzard is hands off and paid server transfers equals money. Well, yeah, I can't see him doing a great deal, adding queues, things like that. That's well within their power, whether they do it or not. These little extra bits of info, none of them really interest me too much. No gold or item restrictions or caps. I wouldn't expect there to be. As much as people might want it, they might want gold caps. You know, like you can only go in with 5k. All people are going to do is buy loads and loads of mats or epics or whatever, stock 4 or 5 characters up. It makes no difference. The gold is still going to be there, but in raw resource. They might not be able to sell it straight away and flip the money, but either way, you're going to be going in with lots and lots of gold, whether it's physical raw gold or it's materials. So I can't see him putting a gold cap on there anyway, because all that work that you've put in, mages, you know, boosting people in Zul'Gurub to hit gold caps, you know, sitting there for 10 hours a day boosting, all your efforts would just be nothing. It would mean nothing if then they put a gold cap on it. So I can't see him doing that. Never done it in a day. Never done it in any expansion in the entire of World of Warcraft. Through all of the expansions, they've never said you can only take X amount of gold in. So I don't know why people are talking about this now. Like it would be something that they all of a sudden turn around and do. It makes no sense. What we got next? Sorry, I'm burping. Been having a few beers. No word on dual spec, so unlikely. Again, I've spoke about dual spec. Bit of a pipe dream for me more than anything. I'd love them to add dual spec, but honestly, do I think they will? No. It wasn't in TBC. Why would they put it in now? As much as I want it, you know, and if we could have changes, it's one of those changes that I would want. But would they do it? Probably not. And then lastly, Wrath of the Lich King. And I'm playing on white main at the moment, so I'm getting more hype for Wrath than I am for TBC, which is disgusting. So Wrath is in the plans if there's still demand. Of course there'll be demand. If you're watching this and you haven't played a Wrath private server, and you've got a couple of days to kill, go on one of these high XP servers, come play white main and come and join us. We've been raiding Nax 25 tonight. Obviously it's only been out a couple of weeks, so you're not going to be far behind. Wrath is amazing, and I think if you played back in the day and you're like, yeah, Wrath was alright, I think you give a private server a chance just for a couple of days, and you'll realise why and how Wrath is so good and so superior to both vanilla and classic, vanilla and TBC, sorry. And that's it. I mean, that's the new alleged leak. I mean, it sounds good. Some of it sounds too good. Some of it doesn't make sense whatsoever. You know, but they're my thoughts on it. I think the content release schedule should not be how it is. I think the server information section on there, you know, some of it's good, some of it's bad. You know, I think most of this makes sense. It's the timelines that I'm not a fan of whatsoever. But let me know in the comments what you think about these alleged leaks, and I'll see you on the next one. Oh, wait, don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitch.